Welcome everyone to another episode of Herstory. I am IFBB PRO Danielle Willis, and I'm sitting here with three-time Miss Olympia champion, Andrea Shaw.
Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
Me on. I'm doing good. I'm 3 days into prep and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling a little not anxious, but a little nervous. It's like, okay, now it's like really happening. So like I'm checking all the boxes, right?
Yeah.
I'm just making sure that I'm doing all the things that I need to do. So, but I'm doing good. I'm in a good space. And how about you? How you doing?
I'm good. I was like we were just kind of saying, this year went by so fast. I can't believe it's summer already.
I mean, June, like 6 months are gone
Right.
already. It's like,
I feel
wait,
like I just did my first O with you, and now I'm like,
right?
you getting ready for your next go.
I'm like, what happened to like, St. Patrick's Day and like, wait,
I
wait
know.
a
I
minute.
know, right? I even had a birthday somewhere sprinkled in there. I can't even believe
Yes, you
that.
did. Yes, you did. Oh my gosh.
And we got to
I'm
see each other a couple times this year. It's been great. I got to
yeah,
see
it's been
you.
awesome.
Thank you. Got to see you at the Fit Expo. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was the kickoff for the year. Then we
Was
did New York Pro.
Yep. Then we did New York Pro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we've had at least two go rounds, and I will let you know that I will be supporting at the Rising Phoenix.
Yay. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be exciting. So you've never been to one, right?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Let
But
me be the first to tell you that Jake Wood and the Wings of Strength team, they roll out the red carpet. They roll out the red carpet. It's it's I mean, the Olympia is important, but the Rising Phoenix is just as important. And then people ask me, do I feel like I have more pressure going into the Olympia? No. I have more pressure going into the Rising Phoenix because I know that the Rising Phoenix always sets me up to be in a good spot for the Olympia. So I mean, the Olympia, once I win the Rising Phoenix, the Olympia is a coast. But to get to the day of the Rising Phoenix, I am whew, Sydney will tell you. Sydney will tell you. I mean, and we literally posed right up until the day before the show. So, I just want her to have her eyes on me as much as possible, as close to the show as possible. And yeah, I mean, I'm girl, I can only begin to tell you the things that like are going through my mind like that night before and the day before. I'm excited, but I'm pressure. It's pressure. And it's self-imposed pressure. Don't get me wrong. It's good. I welcome it. But I always just, want to make sure that I'm doing my best and making sure that, I am doing right by the people who have given their time, their energy, their efforts to support me. That's kind of what and obviously God giving me the opportunity to make sure I'm doing my best. So.
And that's what I like to hear every time I speak with you. It's very refreshing because you are someone that's at the pinnacle of the sport, right? You are the face of the sport. You are at the top. Most aspire to be in a position like you at this type of level. And yet every time you're always taking personal inventory of yourself and always taking inventory of how you are with those around you. And I like that. But you are just always so gracious, and the humility that you possess. And I can say that that's very refreshing because it's almost like you act like you're just getting started every single time.
Exactly. You can't get lost because the minute you think you got it, right? I mean, and you can just coast. I mean, there's a difference between thinking you got it and you're still working, right? That
Mhm.
your confidence grows if you think you got it, because you should feel as though you're gonna possess it and you
Right.
keep working, right? But you don't just chill. Unfortunately, you've seen some champions who just and I promised my mom that I would not be the haughty, arrogant, snooty person who became a pro. And then, yes, I mean, my goal was always to win a Miss Olympia, but I thought initially as a women's physique competitor. But I don't like the attitude that comes with that type of aura, putting that energy out there. It's just, it doesn't bring people closer together. If anything, it starts to create a divide between you and people. And I don't think that that's going to be long serving. I tell girls like, not everybody's going to be friendly in the sport. And I've seen some female bodybuilders who, they choose to disengage, and that's okay. That's okay. Hey, if you don't want to dance with us backstage, it's cool. Well, we're gonna dance. Some of us, we're gonna get together, we're gonna have a good time. But yeah, I want to be the person who creates the good. I want to be known for the good part, bringing the good energy, like wanting to be invited, right? Like, because we know when you come, it's gonna be good. I want to build relationships for the long term, and I want to always be known for that. The person who can bring just the good energy and all the smiles and good memories.
That's what being a true athlete and showing sportsmanship is all about. I think that we need to be spreading that message now more so than ever.
But you can help them cultivate the good. Your work and show up and do your best, right? That's really the name of the game. Do your own work and show up and be your best.
Yes.
That's it. You always will be in a better position, both mentally, spiritually, emotionally, right? Like physically, knowing that you did everything that you were supposed to do to check all the boxes. As long as you do that and you stand in your own lane, you're good. You're good. Let the chips fall where they may.
Being in the Miss Olympia lane that you're in, what is the most rewarding thing thus far?
It's the people. It's the
People.
people that I get to interact with on this level. The best part for me is being able to connect with people and hopefully give them something, some sort of inspiration that helps them make a decision about their future, but affects them for the long haul, right? Their life. A pivotal moment in time where I can connect with someone and I inspire them prayerfully, or I can encourage them, educate them, motivate them, whatever, to make a decision to do something better with their lives. And usually it has been more so women than men. I'm a woman, so right, we women, we get together and we start just, we're girls. This is the way it goes, right? We have more of a, emotional connection, right? So yeah, I mean, small things like having a girl to do her first show at the Tampa Pro. She approached me back in 2021 and she's like, "You remember talking to me down at the escalator at the Miss Olympia?" I said, "Yeah, I remember." Because at first I couldn't remember, like, because looking at her, I recognized her husband, but I didn't recognize her because she had lost so much weight. And I told her, back then, if you decide to do a show, you've got the best support system. You're gonna feel better about yourself. Your self-esteem is gonna be boosted. And I'm just talking, just telling people, this is what you're gonna glean from at least giving it a shot.
Yeah.
And fast forward a few months later, she's at the Tampa Pro and she's like, "Yeah." And I look at her, I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And she's like, "Yeah, because of you, I'm doing my very first show." Her name is Tatiana. And we're still cool to this day. And it's just a matter of, again, she did her first show and now that has catapulted her into, now she has clients. Now she's helping people change their lives. That's the kind of stuff that I think that I'm going to look back on when I get in my 70s, 80s. And I'm like, you know what? It was good that I did it. It wasn't just for me, but I got to help a lot of other people along the way.
You have that mindset of wanting to pour and to give into others. And to me, that's what our purpose here is, right? We're supposed to edify the kingdom and to serve other people.
You have to be able to give back. You
Yep.
have to. The way God designed the system to work. Some opinions that I threw out there about some female bodybuilders who kind of have taken a different route, right? With certain things with, I felt like some of the content was just not shedding the best light. Those are my exact words. Their content doesn't shed the best light on female bodybuilding. And, it wasn't well received by the person, but at that point, I offered an apology, but at the same time, it was like, but it's not something that I'm willing to take back. Yeah, I'm sorry it hurt your feelings, but I still feel so very passionate about it that I want it to be presented in the best light so that other women feel comfortable coming into it and they don't feel like they have to perform these tricks and gimmicks and try to get into the fetishy type stuff, right? I mean, I get it. Like I've worked with like her biceps, there's flexing. That's one thing, right? There's flexing and then there's the artistry and the photography. But then there's a line about it when you have companies like Redcon, um, Gasp, oh my gosh, Muscle Tech, Mutant. Can these companies trust the athlete to really put forth a level of integrity behind their content that represents the athlete well and the company well? there are things that people can do
Mhm.
to make themselves undesirable to market. I was apologetic that it wasn't something that I came directly to her to say. She did hear it from third party. But again, was I apologetic about having said it? No, because it was a matter of it was the truth. I don't think that many female bodybuilders are going to get, or women's physique competitors for that matter, or figure, doesn't matter, right? If you're putting out certain content that doesn't shed a good light on you as an athlete, okay? Chances are you being approached by a supplement company, you being referred by somebody to a supplement company or to a company at all is not, is unlikely. So it's a matter of how do you encourage these new women? This is the question I started to pose to myself,
Mm.
who are in the business as, like, again, newbies, or maybe they just came over from women's physique, to do certain things that guarantees that they will at least get a consideration. If it shapes you to be a better woman, then it's okay. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. Just put yourself in a position, right? To have them look at you and say, yeah, I like what she's doing. And I feel like she would represent us well. And that's what I want the women to see. I want y'all, you all, because I mean, you're going to put this out there for, I mean, all the audience, but we're talking to our girls, right? Put yourself in a position where you will be a good choice, an excellent candidate, the top pick, the first round draft pick to represent a company based on how you take care of putting out your own content.
Let's switch gears a little bit into talking about your off season. How has this off season differed from the last 3 off seasons?
Well, this off season, I really didn't have to work as hard. My off season for 2021 was probably the last off season that I really, really had to, like, I mean, I shouldn't say I didn't have to work hard. I didn't have to work as hard. It's always going to be hard work. That's just the way that the nature of the beast is with competing. I didn't have to grow. So according to my judges' feedback, I didn't need to add any more mass. And I just needed to really make sure I continued to sharpen up the details. So that really became a matter of going with a consistent off-season diet. And so for the last 2 years, I've done that, and that's been going really good, really, really good. So I'm excited to see what this prep will bring forth as far as, my efforts. So, for my off season this year, last year not so much, but this year we wanted to stay no higher than like 193, 195. But then I didn't want to go any lower than like 188 or about 187. And so far, I've been perfect, been right on the nose, right at like 189, 188 for at least the last couple months. When I started to go over 200 pounds, I was like not feeling my best. I want to make sure I still have certain things, even in off season, be a part of the plan. So 20 minutes of cardio, 3 to 4 times a week, focusing more on uh, cable work, not necessarily a lot of the heavy lifts, but more cable work. And then I kept in 3 leg days per week for off season. Now, normally that's only during prep, but for off season, I implemented that this particular off season, 3 leg days per week with me from off season now into prep. So this is the first time I've done that. So again, I'm very curious to see, and I think it's gonna be good because, I mean, when I was doing, like, my progress photos, I could still see the definition in the legs, even though I'm in full-blown, or I was in full-blown off season, and I had not seen that before, so that's new.
I saw in Barbend that you said this last season, the focus was more detail over anything. Go ahead and share why detail is more important to you than size. I want you to really touch on why detail over size.
I feel like detail is what's going to separate you from the competition, and I think that's where some girls get so caught up on size, right? If you need to build, that's still important, but you can kinda see where some competitors in men's bodybuilding
Mhm.
have really sacrificed detail for size. And
Mhm.
that's not really what bodybuilding is supposed to be about. Bodybuilding is really supposed to be about bringing aesthetics to the stage. But a lot of people also still think that aesthetics means you just need to be shredded to the bone, and that's not what we need in female bodybuilding. Shape can be accentuated also with details.
Yes.
Okay, so this is where I think that focusing for me on the details, it just, again, prioritizing, right? Again, 2021 was add a little more size, right? Lower body specifically. But now, okay, we've added that. So the next thing to shift into is to make sure that there's more detail. And bringing more detail, again, just sets me apart from my competition. Again, it's still a competition. And that's where I tell girls, like, it's not a cat fight, but it's definitely still a competition. So for me, bringing those extra details, especially for me in my legs, is what I have chosen to focus on. I think bodybuilding forces you to level up.
Mhm.
It will if you really want to be successful in it, it will force you to level up. So yeah, slipping on having that food prepared, not going to happen. Making sure that I got all of my recovery things in place, it's a must. It's not negotiable. Even with my mom, like when I was first getting into just working out, because I live in Michigan, so it snows here in
Mhm.
wintertime. And I remember, I would never forget it. I was 18, and I would go out, shovel the snow at like 3 or 3:30 in the morning if it snowed, go back in the house, take a shower, get dressed, and then go to the gym. Because couldn't get out unless I shoveled the snow. And my mom looks at me one day and she says, "Is it worth you sacrificing your life?" Like basically being out there in the element, right? And driving in those conditions. And I'm like, I'm going. And we're not having another discussion about it. I'm going. But I tell you, she's glad that I have, decided to take that route, because again, you develop these habits.
Yeah.
This becomes very easy to chart your course. Yes or no. So
Mhm.
when you're faced with these different um, suggestions about, oh well, let's go here and let's go do that. No, can't do that. Can't do that, because this is more important, and I need to make sure that my focus is here, not here.
This sport is definitely one that can define you if you allow it to do so in a way that can help you to just be a better version of yourself. That leads me to my next question, because you don't make excuses,
Mhm.
and you know that with the desire to become successful, there does come a lot of sacrifice. My next question, it leads me to, you have had to sacrifice a lot of things that you've had control over and things you haven't.
Mhm.
And one that we both have in common is we both, lost a parent. And that is something you can't control, just like results of a show, right? You can't control it, right? And so you just do the best with the results that you're given with the situation, right? And you move forward, right? So having gone through something like that at a young age, do you feel that that actually helped make you even more hungry for more in your life, more tenacious
Yeah.
to overcome more? Because that is something that most people, we hope we don't have to go through that until we're old. But to go through something like that at a young age, I mean, that didn't break you though, because you're here talking to me. So what did you get from that?
Think it just became a matter of, when you experience pain on a deep level, there can be one out of two ways that you can use it. You're either going to allow it to propel you, or you're going to allow it to drag you down. And initially, because I was so young, I was 13 when I lost my dad. Um, I went through some depression. Even at 13, I told my mom I didn't know if I wanted to keep living. But, my bond with my mom is so strong that I knew that, I could never take my own life and leave my mom behind. What am I going to do with this pain? And so now it's just become a matter of, what can I become? If my dad were still here, what could I do with that?
Yeah.
What could I do with that that would make him proud, right?
Mhm.
What could I do with that to show him that what he has given me in the lessons that I did have in such a short amount of time really were impactful? What better way to honor him? And that's where my second Miss Olympia was very, very, very special. My first was too. They all are, but like that one I kind of devoted to my dad. So it was the day before, that particular show was October the 8th that I competed in one. And my dad's death anniversary is October the 9th. It was like God gave me a little signal from heaven that, my dad was definitely proud of me. And that, yeah, I can't make this stuff up. Like it
You made
can't,
me
I
cry.
can't
That's
make this stuff
beautiful.
up. It
Yeah.
was just, and I knew because I was very, the second one, I felt like I had something to prove, but I was nervous. I was like, how am I gonna put on extra muscle? How am I gonna, do all these things? But then when they released the date, I was like, okay. I was like, this is gonna be a special Miss Olympia. And Daddy's with me. Daddy's with me, and he's gonna make sure that I get there. And it was, yeah, I'm glad.
I know you're gonna make me
Uh,
cry. What do you think Dad would say to you if you could, I know, but what do you think Dad would say to you if you could have a few words with Dad right now? What do you think? What do you think?
I think
You
he
know
would.
you love bodybuilding.
No, I was so young. I was only 13.
Okay, so yeah, you hadn't even started getting into the gym yet. Yeah, so
I did shortly thereafter because when I was 13 and I came back from Kansas because I actually lived on a farm with my dad in Kansas. Yes, a true modern day Dorothy.
oh
Um,
wow.
that's when my mom introduced me to the gym.
Eh,
However, I think that my dad he would look at me and tell me how incredibly proud he is. That he, even despite him not being there, that I still took the wisdom that he gave me, and of course my mom, right? And applied it to become something meaningful. Because
yeah,
that was something that we kind of talked about, well, what did I want to do, right, when I got into high school? Because he was very adamant that he wanted me to come down and live there during the high school years because he knows, or he knew that during those times it can be very pivotal for a young person, because that's when you're really starting to develop who they really are, right? Their own interests, develop their own tastes, likes and dislikes. And I think he would tell me how incredibly proud he is that I actually achieved such a high level of success. And I think he would just be like almost like just overwhelmed with joy. And then I think the next thing after that he would ask me would be, so you're gonna let me drive the car? Dad was really, really big into cars. He loved working on cars when he wasn't.
I think
Um,
it's a dad thing.
it is
My
a
dad
dad.
was into cars too.
Yeah, so when my dad wasn't preparing sermons, because my dad was an assistant pastor,
Okay.
he was working on cars all the time. Like our farm, we had 3 sheds full of cars and one garage that he worked on. Well, he worked in, sorry. That, that was like there was always an ongoing project. And it was just
Mm,
non-stop. He loved cars. So I have no doubt he would be asking me if he could drive.
yep.
He wouldn't even care which one, just any car. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Give me one of those Rising Phoenix keys, babe. Give me those
yeah,
Rising Phoenix. Yeah.
come on, I'm your dad. He would totally play that card.
Right. Especially black parents. Black parents don't play.
My dad was strict. There was no TV allowed in the house. No TV. Like
Mm,
I could watch Bible movies. That was fair game. But TV, absolute no.
mm.
Absolute no. Like my dad was very strict on that. And we had enough farm work where I really didn't have a whole lot of time to watch TV anyway. But during the winter months, right? Obviously, because Kansas still gets snow, even though they get really high temperatures during the summer. Yeah, my dad he was not having it. I couldn't go over anybody's house that was allowed to watch TV. Like, yeah, he was very, very protective of, the places that he allowed me to go, for that reason, because he just wanted to have more influence of what it was that I was going to be fed intellectually,
Sure.
right? Not only people, but obviously from media.
how important is to you that the leaders remind women to stay in their lane, to stick to their vision? How important is it? You're a leader. Yep.
Extremely important
And why?
because each of us has our own unique sauce that we bring to the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be able to stick to that vision. And sometimes the vision can require some modifying, right? As you go, as you grow. But that's what we're here for. We're here to manifest and be our best selves. And collectively, right, we can make more of an impact.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, you know, we talk about it from like a Christian perspective, but it's like, you know, the hand can't do what it needs to do without, you know, the wrist. And the wrist can't do what it needs to do without the forearm, right? We all play these roles and we all bring a different piece of the puzzle. So you have to be able to stay true and loyal to your own vision and make sure that you're doing everything that you know you need to be doing to manifest that. And you know, again, it's a part of the life purpose. I don't think some bodybuilders look at it as that important, right? So what if you never make it to the Olympia stage? There's still some wisdom and some knowledge that you garnered along the way that you're supposed to be using to help people. But you gotta have that you gotta have a vision, number one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta be able to make sure that because you don't wanna get to an age where you're like just loaded with regrets. Right? Everybody's got some regrets because there's just somewhere along the way that you missed the mark. It just is what it is. You're living a human experience,
Sure.
but you want there to be more wins.
Mm-hmm.
What about winning and you being a better person? What about your character? How are you treating people?
Yep.
Yeah, what information are you holding on to that you know that you should have been, you know, implementing and utilizing to,
Mm-hmm.
to further this vision to go this way? If somebody fails to take the action to manifest that vision, and they know it's down in there, but for whatever reason, maybe they're tied up in the wrong relationship, right? That can be a huge deterrent for many people. You being tied up with the wrong person, right? Because this person doesn't have a vision. You know you have a vision, but because you're so busy investing time into them, you just abandon your vision.
Mm-hmm.
Abandon it. And I mean, you know, if you're not careful, you could go to the grave with what God put in you unmanifested.
That's the scariest idea, right? Your last thought is, I should have done more. I could have done this.
It was
That,
totally in your power. It was
right,
with your power.
right.
So who deterred you, right? That becomes the question.
Yep.
Sometimes it's yourself.
Yep.
And some people need to learn to move themselves out of the way
You're
and
right.
really tune into that vision, that calling,
Mhm.
that knowing
Yeah.
that you're supposed to be doing more than what you're doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes cutting ties with people. And I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the whole point about sacrifice. That was another part of the sacrifice along the journey. I lost some people that I considered to be friends.
Mm.
Jealousy, some due to um, just changes in lifestyle, right? Lifestyle didn't call for me being up until 3 in the morning, drinking and smoking weed.
Sure.
If I was looking to get to the gym and work out and be serious about getting results, I'm not hanging out until 3 in the morning,
Right.
weed and drinking with y'all. Like this. So yeah, it
Yeah.
eventually just by the sheer amount of time grew apart,
Yeah.
and then I began to form new friendships, right, around the things that were important to my life's vision.
Sure.
I mean, those friendships, I mean, many of those I'm still friends with to this day. One young lady, I was in her wedding. I consider her to be one of my best friends. And these are the things that become more meaningful. And I know that looking back, you know, making that decision was one of the best decisions because had I not made that decision and I wanted to just keep hanging out with my people, they weren't going anywhere. I felt like, and I still don't feel like I need to explain myself. If I'm going to move, I'm going to move. And I owe you no explanation. I'm doing me. And if we're meant to be in each other's path, then that's cool. If not, then I'm still gonna be cordial, I'm still gonna be nice, but I gotta move a certain kind of way here. Because I got, I got things that I gotta make sure when I get, again, 60, 70, 80 years old, I feel good about what I've been doing. That's where you find truly happy people.
Especially if you're trying to continue bettering yourself on this type of level.